Peace be with you. My name is Chris Johnson. I am the Associate Pastor of Zion Lutheran Church in Wausau, Wisconsin. We are a part of the LCMC. I also am currently the Secretary for the Board of Lutheran CORE. And one of the important things that we do for Lutheran CORE is put out a monthly video, and this is our task for today, for this month, is to look at another book, do another book review. And this is the book that I will be reviewing today: The Lives and Writings of the Great Lutheran Fathers, the Great Fathers of the Lutheran Church. It's a book published by Concordia Publishing House. It has been said that if we can see farther, it is because we stand on the shoulder of giants. And that is true in so many different areas of our life: philosophy, medicine, politics, and certainly theology. And in this book, we have biographies and also the writings of 21 of those great fathers of the Lutheran Church. And the time period that this book focuses on is the time period post-Luther. So we're looking at the 1550s all the way to the late 1600s, so about a period of 150 years. And the theologians contained in this book cover a broad swath of territory. Some were educators who sought to bring about Lutheran reforms to cities, towns, municipalities. Some are known for their systematic theologies, being very bright and intelligent, borderline geniuses, very, very sharp intellect. Some are known for their preaching, some are known for their poetry, for their hymnody, and some are known for their reforms they brought to other countries, and some are known for their devotional literature, and some are known for all the above. So these men were very, very talented, very dedicated to the faith. And so that they have all that in common, the Lutheran faith, but also particularly confessional Lutheranism, which is tied to the entirety of the Book of Concord, but especially the formula of Concord, something that is in our Book of Concord towards the end of the Book of Concord, which is a very important gift to the Lutheran Church, which gives, which lets us know what it is that we believe, teach, and confess as Lutherans. Certainly we cling to the Augsburg Confession, the Apology of the Augsburg Confession, the small core articles, the small catechism, the large catechism, but the formula of Concord also is a huge gift that I've come to appreciate in my ministry, the epitome and also the solid declaration. And so this is the thing that really brings all of these theologians together, is a dedication and a subscription to the formula of Concord. And this is because during this time period, much of the issue at stake in the Lutheran Church was how tied were Lutherans to the formula of Concord. So there's a number of different battles that these Lutherans were fighting, and certainly some of these Lutheran theologians were known for their polemics. Perhaps one of the most well-known theologians, polemical theologian in this book, is Abraham Kolb, who is not always known for being the nicest person in regards to how he was trying to fight for the faith. But it was a very tumultuous time. And so in the Lutheran Church, there were the crypto-Calvinists, those who were tied to and inherited the tradition from Philip Melanchthon, also known as the Philippists. There is the outright challenge of Calvinistic teaching in many parts of Central Europe. There also was the rise of Jesuits and the Catholic struggle that was still happening in many places in Germany, Denmark, and other places. And also there was the rise of other things, like the rise of Unitarianism that happened in certain pockets of Europe, continental Europe, but especially in Poland. And so these Lutherans, they had their hands full. Many different challenges, many different attacks coming from many different fronts to the Lutheran Church. And also tied to all these things was great suffering. Some of these men suffered greatly during the 30 Years' War. Some of them suffered greatly because of various plagues that had broken out in various localities. And some suffered greatly because of the loss of wives, the loss of children. Some of these theologians were blessed with many, many children. Others were blessed with many children, but also then lost lots of children. One of these theologians, as I'm trying to keep them all straight here, had 14 children, and out of those 14 children, only 2 survived in past his own death. and we'll come to him in due time. So again, just a wonderful gift for us, covering a pocket of Lutheran history that we don't often focus on. So we've got Luther, we've got Melanchthon, and then often we skip, fast forward 500 years to the 20th century and go to other theologians like Bonhoeffer and Karl Broughton and Gerhard Forde, Dr. Steve Paulson, who was one of my professors at Lutheran Seminary. But there's a lot of other important theologians there, and this book helps fill that void. So if you want to know more about these theologians during this very tumultuous time period, I encourage this book to you. The first theologian covered in this book is Aegidius Heinsius. He was a part of the crystallization of the Formula of Concord, and so he knew of Luther. He was born after Luther, but also knew Chemnitz, Martin Chemnitz, the second Luther, and some of the other important theologians that really helped put together the Formula of Concord for the sake of perpetuity. So it's a great gift that he has given to us. He was a prolific author. He was known for his polemics, particularly against the Calvinistic threat, which sought to undermine some of the Christology that we see in the Book of Concord, namely that the ubiquity of Christ filling all things, particularly in this bread and in this wine given and shed for you. So he definitely had an important gift of addressing that challenge in the Lutheran Church. Another polemicist I talked about earlier, Abraham Kolb, he is one of the later theologians addressed in this book. He died in the late 1600s. Some other polemical theologians include Johann Quenstedt, who is a bit more moderate in tone for his polemics, but he certainly addressed a number of those different struggles that happened in his time frame. He was born in 1617 and died in 1688. Some of the Lutheran reformers were known for the reforms they brought to school systems, to education. One of them is the Dane, Jesper Brochmann. He was born in 1585 and died in 1652. He served in the area known as Zealand. He also served at the University of Copenhagen, but he was a staunch defender of the Lutheran Confessions against the crypto-Calvinists and the Lutheran front, but also those who were influenced by Calvin himself. And he wrote a textbook called Systema, in which he addressed a number of those important theological topics for the Danish people, the Danish pastors, and theologians that had went through many printings all throughout the years. Other theologians were simply known for their preaching, and I shouldn't say just simply, because preaching is what we are here for. Theology is for proclamation, as Gerhard Forde once said. And a couple of the famous preachers that we see in this book, though they all were famous in their own right, one fellow, Valerius Herberger, he was born in 1562, died in 1627. He served in Poland, what we now consider Poland. Another important preacher was Johann Heermann, who also was a prolific hymn writer. Another famous preacher that we see here is Johann Rist, who also was just a very much a genius intellect, but also gifted the church lots and lots of poems and hymnody. Some other important preachers in here: Georg Dedekind, born in 1564, died in 1628. Another one, Friedrich Balduin, born in 1575, died in 1627. He served as the senior pastor at Martin Luther's church, St. Mary's in Wittenberg. And so these theologians were known for their preaching, kind of the John Chrysostom of their time, and their sermons would be published and sent out for the people of God to read, but also for other pastors to read. And so these pastors gifted to the church many, many sermons, which, by the way, most of them are not translated in English. So if you are interested in translating these men of faith, check out this book, check out their names, and see if you can do something like that. Translate. That would be a huge gift to the modern church if we could have some of these theologians translated in a bit more, to be accessible far more than they are now. One of the most accessible theologians in this anthology of Lutheran theologians is Johann Gerhard. Lots of his stuff has been published from German and Latin, published by Concordia Publishing House, and he was known for his preaching, but also for his systematic theology, for being a pastor to the people, and also for his devotional literature. So lots of different men of faith with lots of different gifts and talents and skills, some in systematic theology, some in polemics, some in preaching, some in pastoral theology, what we call casuistry, some known for the reforms brought to other places to rid the town, the municipality of its Calvinistic influence. And so these men of faith, they fought hard battles, and they suffered greatly, some of them for it. Some lost their posts, lost their job, and had to move to another place. And as I said earlier, some also lost everything because of the 30 Years' War. One of these theologians who I mentioned before, Johann Heermann, who had gifted to us lots and lots of hymnody, he was known as the Silesian Job. Silesia is the region of southwest Poland on the border of modern-day Czech Republic, southeast Germany. And he was a very sickly kid. Only one of his children survived. His wife died, and also he lost everything 4 times over as the 30 Years' War ravaged during his time frame. So again, these men of faith dedicated to Lutheran Confessions, dedicated to the Lutheran Church, to propagating the faith, to bringing reforms to schools, to churches, to people, and to pastors, and also to universities. It's a great gift for us to know these men and what they did, and the treasures that they have bequeathed upon us for the sake of keeping us in the one true faith, the faith we believe, the faith we confess, the faith that we've received, the faith that is the gift to us seen in the Book of Concord, especially in the Formula of Concord. So if you need a book which looks at some important pastors and what they did, I encourage to you again, the lives and the writings of the great fathers of the Lutheran Church. A wonderful read, a very insightful read, and it gives us pause to give thanks to God for how they persevered in so much suffering and really stayed true to the faith no matter what. No matter what. So enjoy this book, enjoy these theologians and what they have to give to you and to your ministry. You will not be let down.